Hello, welcome to 8 Stories. I'm your host, Sharon Cauthen, and today's episode is called Culture. It's What's for Breakfast. Okay, I might need to still workshop that. Stay with me. But what we're going to do today is debunk a widely quoted phrase attributed to management guru Peter Drucker and explore what makes culture such a crucial and complex part of every organization. Recently, I had a conversation with an acquaintance of mine who was going through a difficult transition at work. His company had just experienced a change in ownership, and it was clear to him that the culture he had worked so hard to build over the years was about to be derailed and replaced by a singular focus on maximum profitability. It's something we've all seen happen. How a change in ownership or leadership can shift a company's priorities, often to the detriment of its culture. And for frontline team members, these changes seem to fall from the sky with little advance warning. Changes related to ownership or management or even finance requirements are far removed from the work that they do every day, and it can result in a kind of culture shock. As we parted ways, my friend said something I've heard 1,000 times before. He said, I believe wholeheartedly that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now, that's a great line, right? It's pithy, it's bold, it's easy to understand, which is why it's so often repeated. But there's one teeny tiny small issue. Peter Drucker never said it. Yeah, I know. I can see a lot of Peter Drucker aficionados coming at me for that. But I'm telling you, I took this piece of wisdom from the Drucker Institute itself. And so I'm going to go with them that they know more about Peter's quotes than I do. What Peter actually said was something a little less catchy, but just as important. In a Wall Street Journal article from 1991, he wrote, culture, no matter how defined, is singularly persistent. I know it doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but it's no less true. And in many ways, it might be even more insightful. You see, Drucker was right. Culture can take a well-defined strategy and either propel it to enormous success or kind of completely block it from succeeding if the people don't believe in the leadership or the vision behind it. Ouch, right? So let's talk about why culture is so important and what makes it more than just a slogan on your website and social media and office walls. First things first, culture is important. It's the combination of shared values and beliefs within a company. It influences how team members work together, how they treat each other, that's huge, and how they conduct business. That's your business they're conducting, and they do it better when they believe in the culture and the vision of the company, when they're bought in. It's more than a clever phrase. Culture's alive. It requires oxygen, meaning it needs constant attention and care to survive and thrive. It's an investment in your company's future. So ignoring it can be costly. Culture is also complex. In fact, it's so complex that it often doesn't get the attention it deserves from leadership because, let's face it, strategy is easier to define and measure. We can put numbers and targets on strategy, but culture is harder to quantify. And yet, knowing how much influence culture has on strategic success should be enough reason for us to pay more attention to it. It's about being intentional, modeling and reinforcing culture, not just when things are going great, but especially when times get tough. And here's the thing. Culture develops organically. It's not something you can order into existence with a memo or royal decree. It grows over time, cultivated by founders, executives, and team members who believe in it and support it. It becomes real when the people in the organization live it out when you're nowhere around. Let's talk about the relationship between strategy and culture. They're not opposing forces. They actually work together. Culture is linked to purpose, just as strategy is. But without culture to give strategy strength, you might hit your targets, but you won't achieve the extraordinary. A team united in purpose and belief can accomplish far more than one that's just chasing numbers. Think of it, healthy culture is kind of like a vaccine. When it's strong, when the culture is strong, it can detect and neutralize those negative forces. Those complaining, disruptive employees who resist anything new or different. Left unchecked, those voices can bring down your cultural ecosystem, if you will. But with a dose of positive, vibrant culture, your organization stays healthy and thriving. Do you hear the train? So if there's one takeaway from today's episode, it's this. Culture isn't just something that eats strategy for breakfast. It's what makes strategy possible. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Leaders, it is time to stop thinking of culture as an afterthought or as something that just happens. Get intentional about it. Live it, breathe it, and watch how it transforms not just your organization's success, but the people within it. Thanks for tuning into this episode of 8 Story. Remember, culture is more than just a meal. It's what fuels everything that happens to your organization. Until next time, take care and keep cultivating. I'll see you on the next episode of 8 Stories.